This is really where it all started for me, down here in New Orleans. The first fields I practiced on, the first fields I had games on, and this is where I fell in love, really, with the game.
Here's David Villa. Villa across the face and goal! And there it is! Patrick Mullins may well have sealed the game for NYCFC.
There are moments in your career that you remember forever. That one will be one that Patrick Mullins will never forget.
It's just kind of funny thinking this is where I had so much fun and where I love playing the game, and then right next to it, these are the levees, and this is what kind of protects New Orleans, which is very below sea level. There was plenty of water on these fields right after Katrina. To think that it got that high it's mind-blowing. I love New Orleans, and it doesn't matter how far or how long you've been away, every time you come home, there's just that feeling when you land and you know you're somewhere where you belong. It's been a while since I've been here.
You had school that Friday, right? Late August?
Yeah, so I had my last class, I remember, was up on the second floor. Actually, you can kind of see it where the balcony was. It was in that left corner. It's hard to imagine pre-Katrina, as we say. I was a young kid, but when I think about it, I think of someone who loved being outside, loved playing the game. That was a big part of my life, and you know, that's all I really thought about. That was it for me. It was soccer. It was scoring goals. It was being a part of a team. I always think about that when I come out here. It's a distinct memory for me. It was one training, I hit a shot, kind of like that I always do with my left foot, and it went buried in the low corner, and my coach, right there on the spot, he was like, "Have you ever thought of being a professional soccer player?" I'd never really said it out loud before. And then when he said it, it was that belief in me that really, it made it like something I could actually do. And it was something I wanted to do.
He enjoyed it, he loved it, and I always thought it was sort of neat, you know, that he would aspire to get there.
It was always, I want to try to play professional soccer. That's what I want to do.
I love the game so much. You know, I loved coming out here for hours and hours of the trainings. It was who I was and kind of gave me a vision of where I wanted to end up being.
Will Katrina continue its dangerous track? The likely answer is yes, and emotions are racing across the Gulf Coast tonight.
To me, it felt like business as usual. You know, you live down near the Gulf Coast. You deal with hurricanes your whole life. I think I had evacuated at least 10 to 15 hurricanes in my life before that.
Patrick actually had a game Saturday morning out at the Lakeview Fields, and I mean, we had pretty much determined at that point that we were going to evacuate out of the area.
You know, there's always a stillness in the air, almost an uncertainty, because you can't control Mother Nature and how weather's going to affect your life.
After that game was over, we spent several hours, you know, packing up what we could in the house, securing the house, and making our way out of town.
Walter's mom lives in Brookhaven, 2.5 hours away, and it took us probably 10. You know, because there's just, you know, you're trying to get a couple million people out of a city and everybody's having to go across the same bridges. So it was pretty ominous.
And that was Saturday, and the storm hit early Monday morning.
At least one levee has broken in New Orleans, leading to some localized flooding, but there could be far worse still to come.
I don't think I went into it thinking that it was going to affect my life so dramatically.
New Orleans is no longer safe to live in. It is that simple and that stark. More than a day after Katrina hit, things should be getting better, but they have gotten worse. The failure of levees and pumping stations is causing floodwaters to rise, not recede.
This is the area where the levee for the London Avenue Canal breached. There were two breaches on the London Canal, this one and one a little further south. This part here, the lighter cement without the grooves in it, is the new flood wall that they replaced.
Yeah.
But it just sent tons of water into the neighborhood, and I'm sure it made its way over to our house pretty quickly.
Driving up on that day to 6018 Chatham Drive is a lot more emotional drive than it is today. That was definitely an experience that sticks with me because that was my home. That's the only thing I knew, and it was destroyed. The devastation of floodwaters reaching 8 to 10 feet, it left the house devastated. There was nothing left.
This is the lot where our old house was, and obviously there's a new house. Actually, it just started construction in the last 3 weeks.
It's kind of funny looking back because the emotions that must have been going through them. You know, obviously they had built up so much in their lives and built a family. To have it all just washed away and to see it right before their eyes, I'm sure it was tough on them, but the only thing I really remember is them being there for me and my brother. You can peer right through there. You can see probably where I had the most memories in the back of the house was with Andrew, my older brother. That's exactly where we used to play. We'd be taking shots and crushing the fence and...
Oh look, there's some broken fence from you still.
There's a couple missing chunks, a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely that corner there where...
Yeah,
That corner took a
this was the
beating.
goal right here.
That was
the goal, right?
That was definitely the goal. Katrina is that whole period of unknown. I didn't know if I was gonna play again. You know, I already had my house, my friends taken away from me, and it very well could have had soccer taken away from me too. I'd come home and I'd cry like a baby with my parents. I didn't want things to change, to be honest. You know, you have your community that you grow up in, and you just kind of want that community to be with you forever, and you didn't know that.
When you do club soccer, you know, you become so close with those families on the team. It's like a second family.
I loved that team. Those were my best friends growing up, and anybody that's played on a team before, you don't always have your best friends on their team. And when you're that young, you know, those guys, they're everything to me.
At first it was, oh, no soccer team, we're in this school that's just not a good fit, but it's the only school that could take him.
It took me time to kind of get over it. And I think I had to have those times of sadness in order to do that. Obviously, you need that before you can truly move on. And I didn't realize how hard it was gonna be to move on.
We were in this house for 15 years, and then within 5 months, we lived in 6 different places.
I mean, we lived with friends in Baton Rouge several months. We stayed with my mom a little while. We lived in Hammond in an apartment.
But always very, very thankful. You know, puts in perspective family and friends. Made you feel really, really blessed, and you know, that you have those people who support and love you. And you know, we were lucky our family was together.
You always look at your parents and think of them as your rock, and they had to become even more so of that for me and my brother in that time.
This was your bedroom right here, this corner.
All right. I'm a soccer nerd. A lot of those days where I was in Baton Rouge or in Hammond, I'd be daydreaming about that formation and different ways of how I could find ways to score goals. 6 to 8 months after the storm, we all got back together as a team as a whole. I do remember that same feeling of optimism that I felt on that last day before the hurricane. It was nice to have that back when we all got back together. When you experience a tragedy like that, where you feel like life just isn't even giving you a chance, all you want is to be able that you control your own destiny.
With the 11th pick of the first round of the 2014 MLS Super Draft, the New England Revolution select forward Patrick Mullins.
If I want to be a professional soccer player, that I controlled that. If I worked hard enough and mastered the craft, that I could get there.
Here come the Reds. Mullins, top of the area, left-footed drive into the back of the net. First MLS goal for the rookie, and what a goal it was!
What an absolutely spectacular strike with the left peg.
Mullins powering through and shoots it into the back of the net. The rookie remains red hot. Mullins 4 in a row.
Ah, the old NYCFC flag
That's right.
in the front yard.
That's right.
That's right.
Keep it, Pat. Keep it, Pat. Nobody got. Keep him.
Patrick Mullins steps into the area and just knocks it past Brian Silvestri, and New York City has the lead.
Patrick Mullins, we talked about coming on and making an impact. You cannot find a better way to make one. Terrific finish from Mullins.
Katrina, many lessons, but one was that the family made the house into a home. It wasn't the house, it wasn't the lot that was home, it was the people in it. I think that's really the big thing for me, was the people, whether that made up the soccer field or the people that made up my home. That's what I remembered, and that's what I cared about.